Hi, I'm Miranda Kwok. I'm the creator of The Cleaning Lady on Fox, and I also wrote on a show called The 100, which was on the CW network, and Spartacus, Blood and Sand. So I've been writing in television for a little while now.
Wow, well, that's awesome. I've definitely watched hundreds. So I am married to lesbian. I'm with Student Reviewed out of Phoenix. We're really happy to have you here. Thank you for talking to our viewers in Phoenix. And so what got you into this business?
Really, I wanted to tell stories that mattered, that made a difference. I got into the business originally as an actor, so I was in front of the camera, but the roles are very limited, and it's really about you're telling someone else's story, or barely that, because as an Asian woman, you're not, again, the roles weren't there for people like me. So I started writing to tell the stories that actually I was passionate about. I won a screenplay competition for a story I wrote about the comfort women, the so-called comfort women, before and during World War II, the Japanese military abducted over 200,000 people and forced them into sexual slavery to serve their troops, and for the sake of morale. So that's a story that was buried for a long time, and I was really passionate about getting that story told. So I ended up writing a screenplay, and I ended up winning the Slamdance screenplay competition for that script. So that was kind of what got me into the writing realm.
Was it very challenging to do this? What were some of the challenges that you faced? Because I know it had to have been tough. Being a female, being Asian, it had to have been tough being able to get yourself to this point. What were some challenges?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the good things about being a writer is, obviously there's a name on the page,
right?
But winning competitions, winning the competition was helpful because that just, that didn't have to do with anything else but the writing. Mm-hmm. I also got into the CBS mentorship program. There's a lot of programs at the studios and networks where they offer for young writers who are starting out. So that's a good way in, because a lot of people are schlepping around a script. So if you're able to place in a program or be a finalist in a competition, all that can help you get a leg up. It was still difficult because, Slamdance is known as an indie festival. There's a lot of, so people were looking for like a horror film or a next thriller, and I had this World War II epic about sexual slavery. So it was not the thing that people were looking for. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely still a challenge. And I finally, a dear friend of mine recommended me to an agent who finally took me on. Because even after I won Slamdance, people are like, well, what else do you got? And I didn't have anything else. So I sat down with this agent, and he said, well, what about TV? And I said, I have no idea about TV. So he said, write a pilot. So I wrote a pilot. It got me some meetings, and people said, well, you've proven you can write. Now you have to prove you can write someone else's show. So that's when I sat down. I watched 3 seasons of House, and then wrote a spec, and that spec got me, into the program. But also, that was something. It was like a calling card. Is a spec sample. So I was using that, and that's the sample that got me staffed on Spartacus.
Wow, what a great story. So, have you've been doing this for more than a couple of years? Do you notice the challenges are less now than they were when you started, or is it still that uphill climb to try to get the diversity in your?
For me, I can't think about what other people think. I can't think about their perception. All I can do is work hard and try to hone my craft. And so, before I won Slamdance, I had many, many drafts of that script. I was actually using competitions as deadlines for myself to get the next pass out. And they say with these programs, if you don't get in, they're highly competitive. So just keep working and keep writing. And if it's not working, what can you do to fix it? So I guess for me, I've always just been focused on the work and try to ignore the things going on around me that I can't control.
Right.
Ignore politics. There's politics in a writer's room, and it just I just kept my head down and just tried to do the work and not not
Just
mess
worked
with
hard.
those things. Just worked hard. And so because of that, I was on the 100 for 4 years.
Oh.
After 3 years, actually, my contract was up. I went out for staffing. I got another job offer, and I went back to the showrunner, Jason Rothenberg, who I love. And he said, and I said, I have an offer for another show. And he said, no, we want you back. But the show hadn't been picked up yet. And so he said, let me see what Warner Brothers can do. And I wasn't thinking anything, and then all of a sudden Warner Brothers called, and they said, well, we'd like to offer you a blind script deal. And so if the 100 comes back, you promise to come back, and if it and you get the blind script deal, and if it doesn't come back, you still get the blind. So of course I said yes.
It's a win-win.
So that's an example of of just working hard and having a payoff, because then he wanted me back, and that's what made Warner Brothers give me a deal, and off that blind script deal is how I created The Cleaning Lady. So everything is, keep working hard, keep just being dedicated to your craft, be good to the people around you, and that's how I managed to, I guess, build the career.
The career. That's great. So we're going to do some of the fun stuff now. What is like your favorite project that you've worked on? Or favorites?
Favorite. They're all favorites. They're all favorites for
favorites.
different reasons. I mean, Spartacus I love because it was, they told us there's nothing you can do that's too far. They totally wanted to push the envelope. It was my first writer's room, so I was so excited. And, creatively, you could do anything. You pitch anything, so it was amazing that way. What I loved about The 100 was I really learned from Jason, like, you create your own show. You create the world that you're building. And so he created a world on The 100 that had no sexism, no racism, no homophobia. The word rape didn't exist. And we didn't even play the trope of pregnancy until one of the actors got pregnant.
Right.
And it's like, no, you can use your mind to find the best story without using those stereotypes. So that was fun, and then obviously The Cleaning Lady is my show, so that's all wonderful for its own reasons.
Tell us a little bit about The Cleaning Lady, because I'm not familiar, which I should be. I'm so sorry.
So The Cleaning Lady, the premise is that a doctor, a Cambodian doctor from the Philippines, comes to the U.S. for a bone marrow transplant for her son, but the donor backs out, and she's stuck with a choice. Either she can leave and go where there's no resources for her son, or she basically chose to overstay her visa, so she becomes an undocumented immigrant and starts working as a cleaning lady to pay the bills. But then she witnesses a murder, and to save her own life, she says, let me clean it for you. So she becomes a cleaning lady for a crime syndicate, and that's the premise of the show.
Wow, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Where is it streaming at?
So it's it airs on Fox, and it's also streaming on Hulu, but you can also find it on Max.
That's great.
Yeah.
That sounds right up my alley. So you did give us a little bit of advice, but do you have any other specific advice you could give people that want to break into what you're doing and to make sure that the diversity is there and everything that you're doing with your craft?
I say follow your heart, follow your passion. I think you are the only you. Everyone has their unique voice, their unique experiences, and so if you pull from your own experiences, you're drawing from something that's authentic and truthful, and that's what resonates with people. So just stay true to yourself.
Very true. Well, thank you. That's about all that I have. I'm so sorry. I don't have any more questions for you. Is there anything that you wanted to add, or any words of wisdom, or anything you want to give us?
I think that's
Same as I am. Yep, not a problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.